years old staying on their parents' insurance that we might keep. I just want to make sure that I'm getting your clear position. Would you attempt to fully repeal Obamacare as
Well, I
it
think
is?
what I said is there are provisions in there that there's consensus about in America, but ultimately the bill is a monstrosity. It really has to be replaced with a new bill with new ideas. And the problem with it is that it's now been stigmatized rightfully because it grows the deficit at the same time as it is a job killer. It creates extraordinary uncertainty for the job creators in America. So I think that hopefully the Congress will repeal what is known as Obamacare, and we will replace it with a concise set of very specific ideas that will help insure a lot more people and cost a lot less money, like allowing every individual in America to buy insurance from any company that will sell it to them across state lines, allowing them to have the same tax benefit their employer has if their employer bought it for them. And there are other common sense proposals, like I said, would cost less money, and it would insure a lot more people.
I tweeted out asking people to submit questions. One of them said, by the way, that she thinks you're awesome. So let's not show your wife that one. But some of them were more critical. One of them said, how do you respond to people who are afraid that you might turn into a rhino once you get into office? What do you say to that?
Obviously people have been burned before and they're concerned about it. I would just say that in Florida, the choice is a really easy one. There are two people I'm running against who think the country's headed in the right direction, and I'm the only one running that will come up to Washington and be a check and balance on the direction that this administration and this Congress is taking our country. I'm the only one running on a platform of ideas. I'm not just describing myself as a limited government person, but I'm actually have a platform that's based on it. We have 12 specific ideas about how to help generate economic growth. We have another 12 ideas about how to shrink the size of government and government spending. We're campaigning on a platform of ideas, not just slogans, and we're going to be held accountable to that, and I think that's the right way to do it.
One person tweeted and asked me to ask you what you think about the Tea Party and the latest move, I guess, with the Tea Party Express, where the leader of that group was essentially ousted for, I guess, racial things.
Well, I always think people involved in the political process have to be careful with the language that they use, particularly because it can be used against them by your enemies, and so I'm not going to comment specifically on him or that decision, but I will tell you that the Tea Party movement across America is a diverse group of people that are unified by one thing, and that is they want America to continue to be the greatest country in the history of the world, but they recognize that if we stay on the road we're on right now, that's not going to happen. And they're frustrated at both political parties because the leadership of both parties has too often abandoned principle in exchange for political compromise and sometimes just doing anything to get elected. And they're frustrated about that. And the Tea Party has given voice to that movement all across America.
And one person wanted me to ask you about new media in the blogosphere. Has that helped you? Has that been important to you gaining momentum?
A campaign like mine, so early on running, against someone who had been endorsed by the entire establishment, my campaign would have never had a chance back 10 or 5 years ago before the existence of a limited government blogosphere and the ability to communicate with donors and supporters all across the country using the internet and Twitter, Facebook, and those platforms and the blogs that have given us coverage and made us a contender early on when mainstream media wouldn't do it.
So what blogs do you read? What are your favorite blogs?
Well, obviously the original one that got on with us was Red State, and so I'm still a huge fan of Red State, and we read that often. From there, obviously, we struggle. We read all the, believe it or not, the blogs of some of the mainstream media blogs kind of cover the news, and so we have to be aware of it. Red County has a big presence in Florida, so we'll read that. There's a conservative blog in Florida called Babalu blog, which has kind of a Cuba element to it, but it's a real good conservative blog as well. And then, Hot Air, again, is... so people are always sending us different things that we'll read on the links, but we'll also try to follow it, and I know my staff reads them all.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Marco Rubio, for taking the time to talk with us.
Thank you.